So in today's video, I'm going to branch into a little bit of a different area of the stationery hobby and community. Instead of fountain pens, today let's take a look at multi-pens. These are a couple that I picked up this last weekend at Gentleman Stationer. They're very similar, but also different, so let's take a look. Okay, so as I mentioned in the intro, today we're going to look at some multi-pens. I've got three different ones. This first one is the HI-TEC-C Coleto, and this is the one that'll hold 3 inserts, and this is in navy blue. This is one that Beth picked up to use with her bullet journal where she needed something for doing lines and whatnot. And if you've ever tried to do lines with a fountain pen and you have a ruler, if the ruler catches just the slightest little bit of that ink, it can blur across the page. So this was what she got for that. And the colors she chose were brown, black, and then like a navy blue. And I'll show how you put the ink samples in there, or the ink cartridges, refills in there later on in the video. I picked up a different version of the Coleto C. This is the Coleto C 1000, and it cost a little bit more, but I liked the silver finish on it. And this actually holds 4 of the different refills instead of just 3. And, you know, the colors I chose were black, turquoise, kind of a royal blue, and then I actually got a 0.3 millimeter pencil insert to go in this as well. And then the other one I got is the Uni 4+1 in Sage Bamboo Edition. Now this one you can still put refills in, but it doesn't have the same kind of flexibility per se as the Pilots, which I'll show later in the video as we get to how to swap in and out the refills. But I really liked that this one is, has a pencil under the clip, so you can click out the pencil. Just put that over here so you can see that. And then it also has, if you pull off that back cap, an eraser. Now, I mentioned I'd put a pencil insert in the Coleto of mine. It does not have an eraser there, so if from a pencil use standpoint, this one made more sense, and that's kind of why I got one of each, because I have different uses in mind for these. So getting back to the overall comparison, this one has 4+1, thus its name, and it comes with a black, red, green, and blue, kind of the standard colors in a multi-pen. And then these two, you can choose your colors. And, you can also not only choose colors, you can choose what line width you'd like your refill to be. Beth chose for hers the 0.5 millimeter. Mine are actually the 0.4 millimeter. And when I show you a writing sample here in a little bit, you'll see the difference in that kind of line variation. So let's get on to how you set these up. For the HI-TEC-C, you just kind of take your thumb, it's got a little insert there, and you pop the top off. And once that's open, you can pull these inserts out. And this is actually how you buy this pen. You buy it as an empty shell, and then you choose which inserts you want to go in it. Now, I think if you purchase these individually, they're about $1.80 US. So, you can choose out of a large selection, or if you're uncertain of which colors you want, this is actually how Beth chose to go. Joe from the Gentleman Stationer, and I don't know if this is a common thing or if it's just something he does, it's a combo pack. So you can get all of the main colors at once, so then you can choose and mix and match after the fact. So if you're using it and then all of a sudden, I'm going to this and I'm going to have to be able to write in orange, you can swap in the orange insert, and I'll put a new one of these in one of the pins here in a minute just to show you how it works. But that's a nice feature. Now, the one caveat is if you buy the multi-pack, you have to buy it in either the 0.5, the 0.4, or the 0.3. So you can't mix and match the multi-packs, but in a way, I kind of like that, because more than likely, if you have one size insert that you like using, you're probably going to stick with that same one. And I'll leave this purple out, and I'll show you how that can be swapped into an existing pen here momentarily. And it's going to be very similar to this here of, let me get this over on this camera so you can see there's a spring in there, and you just line up in the spring, and then push it down. You want to make sure this bump comes to the outside. And you don't really have to push it down in there, because once you close the cap and the way the multi-pins work, you just kind of set them down in there. And if you put it in backwards, don't worry. It'll just stick up like that. All you have to do is pick up a little bit, rotate, put it in, and then close the back. And now, this pin is ready to use. Get that to focus on the side camera here. Whichever insert you choose. Standard multi-pin, if you've never used one, you click one of them down. When you're ready to use the next one, or just close the pin up to pack it away, click one of the other ones, and that brings them all up to its kind of home position at the top. On my Coleto, it's the same thing. Now, the difference here, let me get this, is there's a little button to push. Instead of just flipping the top up, you push the button up, and then that opens the top. What I want to show on this one is the pencil. A couple of things. So on the little indicator itself, and try and get this where it will focus correctly. So let me try this camera here. It has, well, my focus is fighting me. Let me do it once I have it in the pen. What I'm trying to show is right here, it says what size lead goes in it. It has 0.3, there we go. On the side camera there, you can see it says 0.3, so that way you know, oh, I'm out of lead. This is the size refill I'm going to need. And then to work the pencil, once you have it in there, there's not an extra button. You don't push the back down again as you traditionally would on some mechanical pencils. Once you have it in, when you push it down in it, the spring in there, see if I can get this where it will record both parts at once. When you click this down a little bit further, you can see that that gets the lead to come out, and then like a normal mechanical pencil, you can hold it in and push your lead back in and then return it back. And like I mentioned, the Coleto does not have an eraser, so that is one where you'd want to carry a separate eraser with you in that case. Now, for changing out the inserts on the Uni, you unscrew like you would normally on the front, and then you just kind of pull these out. Now, I don't believe there's a way to change the indicator, so even if you were to get different color refill inks, you'd have to just remember green is teal or whatever. But to refill a new one, you'd take it, and there's a hole in there, so you can kind of see, and I tried filming this earlier just to get it. You just have to kind of click it down in, and then once you screw on the end, it'll be ready to select and use. So let me get this, actually, let me show this part that I talked about. So in mine, like I mentioned, I have the 0.4 millimeter. So if I want to switch to having a purple insert, all I need to do is pull out one of mine. These all have like a little peel open label on the back, so you don't have to have scissors or a knife or anything like that. You line it up. And that is the nice thing, is you could technically make one of these pins with a 0.3, 0.4, and 0.5 millimeter in the same color. If you were doing sketching or needed, that line kind of variation, you could very easily make a specialized pin just for your use case. So now that that's in, the one thing to mention on these is once you use them for the first time, there is the little ball on the end you need to pull off. That actually releases the pin. I'm not going to do that now because I don't plan on using the purple. I was just doing it for demonstration purposes for the time being. So I'm going to put that back in its little sleeve here and add it back to our extra refills. Because I personally prefer the smaller, the 0.4 millimeter, and possibly I'll look at getting a 0.3, but so far the 0.4 I've been happy with using it the past few days. So let me get this put back together, and I'll grab where I did some writing comparison of all three of these already, and we can take a look, and then I'll do some actual writing to show. So let me grab these here. So this is on bank paper, and all I did was write. Let me start with this camera here, since I can hopefully get it lined up a little better. The name of the pen with the color, and then just wrote down the refill color and did kind of a little scratch so you can see how the color lays down. And all of these write really well. They're not they're a pleasant writing experience from a ballpoint, and they're almost gel. That is one thing that I can't really tell, and I was looking to see if I could get clarification. They're kind of a mixture of a ballpoint and a gel, but I definitely like how they write. I think they're just a lower viscosity ballpoint, so they write really well. But I really liked the color variation you get on some of these, like that turquoise really stands out with a great color, and that's not something you'd normally expect. And this is where you can see this is a 0.4 millimeter and this is a 0.5. And actually I wrote, and this is one of the Natsu cards, just the difference. And you can see, even in writing, that slight little bit of line difference. And I'm sure it would be even more dramatic with a 0.3 to a 0.5 millimeter. But not drastic, but noticeable. So depending on what you're needing to use it for, it will work well. So let me go on and just do some writing here, and let's do the blue, because I have blue in all of them. And then let's see, in the Coleto here. And it's a noticeable difference, and that's why I think the Coleto, and check the description, I'll put a note in there if I have misspoken, but I do believe that the Uni is a ballpoint, and I think the Coleto is classified differently, but I don't want to misspeak, so I'll be sure and notate that in the description of the video. So you can see there, they are different colors of blue. Beth chose a darker, like navy, and I chose, that's the standard kind of royal blue, and it's not the turquoise. And you can see that line variation difference, the 0.5 to the 0.4. It even shows between colors. So just something to be aware of. As you customize your own pen, you can choose, and since the refills are $1.80, if you're uncertain, you're not really going to be putting yourself out, because what I think I want to do, since we have all these extra refills, is to go buy another just empty body and then use that body to make another multi-pen. Because it's really no difference. And I think this bare one, or the plain one on this, just the regular Coleto, they're like $3.50 for the body. So you can easily pick up one or two more and make a couple other multi-pens, and you can choose between the 3 or the 4 cartridge versions. So overall, I look forward to using these. I actually picked up this one with a purpose. We're traveling soon, and I'm getting into watercolors, and I wanted to take the little palette with me, but I didn't want to take a lot of stuff. So I plan on using this as the pencil and pens to kind of sketch, and then be able to paint over it. So that way it's a one, really putting that multi-pen to use, to have a pen in that roll with the paint stuff and a pencil and an eraser all in one, and not having to, carry more than is needed for when traveling. So overall, I look forward to using these some more. They've been on the desk. Aside from Beth's, it's been up with her desk. I went and stole it before making the video. But these are nice to write with, and there's one other multi-pen that I've had my eye on for a while, but I haven't pulled the trigger. Is Lamy actually makes one that matches the Lamy 2000 and Macrolon, and there are aftermarket refills you can put in those to, if you don't want to use the normal Lamy ballpoint refills. So that's something I might look at for the future, depending on how much I end up using these. But so far, I've been very happy. I actually used this to draw the little logo for the video interview series that I've added to the YouTube channel, because I had to have a logo and I needed something in square, so I drew that using this pen just because that happened to be what was on the desk and had the finest point. So overall, I like the idea of these multi-pens. They're very different than the multi-pen I had in elementary school growing up, that was like the teal on the bottom, the white on the top with the 4 colors. This is a whole different level, and they write well, and they look a lot cooler too, and having different color options. And that's really the big difference between like the Coleto 500 and the Coleto 1000, is which colors and which grades of body material you're getting. So I think it's $3.50, maybe $8, and then $15 depending on which body shape or body style you like. So still, at the end of the day, you're not really breaking the bank in any way, because they all use the same refills, which are $1.80 each. So if you have any questions on these multi-pens, be sure and leave a comment below, and I'll be glad to answer them as someone who's new to these, not new to multi-pens, but new to this style. I know that the Gentleman Stationer has written quite a few articles on multi-pens, and I've been reading his site for many years, and I know he actually has a multi-pen section on his website. That's where I kind of went back and forth reading his latest post on it, which was a couple months ago, and it kind of planted the idea in my head of, maybe I should look at picking one of those up. So obviously I did go on and pull the trigger. Okay, so that's going to bring us to the end of this video about the multi-pens. I really look forward to using them more, and I know Beth is really enjoying hers. So are you a multi-pen user? Do you have any Uni or Pilot Coletos in your collection? Leave me a comment. Let me know how you're using them, if there's any other tips and tricks that you have, or if you have the Lamy pen or any other multi-pens. I know there's probably other brands that I'm not aware of and haven't seen yet. So it's always good to see what else is out there, to see if there's another one that would be worth adding into my stationery arsenal. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing so you can see new videos as they're released. And thanks for watching.